Coming up on WUFT's First at 5, we hear from Mayor Harvey Ward with updates on RTS efficiencies, how this is impacting the community.
Plus, the City Commission approved a new play for downtown Gainesville. We spoke to local business owners who tell us their perspective on this upcoming change. And
AI in the medical field. We show you how a machine that could help doctors diagnose cancer. WUFT's First at 5 starts right now.
First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Conversations over RTS bus routes altercations are still underway. This is WUFT's First at 5. I'm Bianca Smith.
And I'm Juan Chaoui. RTS announced the end-to-end relocations of bus routes. We're joined by WUFT's Kade Sowers live in the studio to break it down a little more.
The City of Gainesville Transportation Department announced a number of changes to its regional transit system today. Starting October 1st, holiday service stopped and paratransit has been scaled back. Beginning January 1st, riders who are 18 and younger and 65 and older will require a pass for fare-free boarding. RTS will soon add an online application webpage to register for these passes before the year's ends. The conversation between the city and the university to improve route efficiency also continues. Route 25 to Gainesville Regional Airport will end on January 3rd, 2025. Gainesville Mayor Harvey Ward spoke on the possible modifications to some UF bus routes.
The hope at UF is that they'll be able to use some of those routes, to serve some of those routes better with smaller vehicles. And time will tell. You know, if we try something and it doesn't work, we can always go back to what we were doing before. Or we can make other future changes to it as well.
Student funds that finance these routes will be reallocated to other students' transportation solutions. If agreed upon by RTS and UF, route modifications will be in effect with the start of RTS spring service on January 3rd, 2025. Live in the studio, Kade Sowers, WUFT News.
Officials say a house fire in Ocala is being investigated as arson and 2 people were sent to the hospital. The Ocala Police Department helped the people inside escape from the smoke-filled house. When the Ocala Fire Department arrived, they found one person bedbound in the room next to the fire. Both were transported to the hospital and treated for smoke and flame exposure. 3 officers were also treated for smoke inhalation. OPD asks you to call the number on your screen if you have information that can help.
Alachua County Fire Rescue says 2 drivers were sent to a local trauma center after a car crash on State Road 26 in Newberry. Alachua and Newberry Fire Rescues, alongside the Florida Highway Patrol, worked to free the 2 trapped drivers. Officials say the crash appears to have been a head-on collision, causing heavy damages to both vehicles. The cause of the crash is still under investigation.
Look out for road closures on your way to work next week. The ramp on County Road 484 to I-75 North will close overnight on Monday. Drivers can still get onto I-75 through the ramp on State Road 200. Additionally, the southbound I-75 rest area will close overnight Tuesday. Other rest stops are located about 35 miles north and south of the closed area. These closures are part of the Florida Department of Transportation's 14-mile resurfacing project.
Speaking about I-75, let's take a live look at our DOT camera overlooking I-75. Roadway is flowing nicely, that's what I like to see, and look at those blue skies. And the weather is warming up here just in time for the Punk Festival this weekend. WUFT's Gancarz-Davies joins us now with the weather forecast. And Ben, when people head on over to the festival, what kind of weather should they expect?
Well, this weekend we are going to have quite nice weather here in Gainesville, fairly similar to today, where our current temperatures are in those mid-80s, but on the decline as we head into the evening. Currently we have blue skies with just a couple of clouds there, and we do have a little bit of a different temperature as we continue to look at the highs for the day. We are past that peak. Current temperatures were at that 85-degree mark. Here a little bit warmer as you look at Jacksonville up there in the northeast. Continuing to look at our evening forecast, that temperature takes a dip after sunset from those mid-80s through the upper 70s and even down to the lower 60s by those early morning hours, where the low are at the 61 here in Gainesville and a little bit warmer by the coast as we have that temperate effect from that breeze coming off the Atlantic. Coming up in my full forecast, I'll let you know how you can best celebrate Fest this weekend, and I'll give you some insights into the tropics.
You're going to see a big change to downtown Gainesville next year. The area of Southwest 1st Avenue between South Main Street and Southwest 2nd Street, known as the Streetery, is expanding. That's where we find our Nicole Beltran live right now. Nicole, it's going to look a lot different around this time next year.
Yeah, that's right, Chaoui and Bianca. The Gainesville City Commission approved a plan yesterday to give the streetery a makeover. Now, I spoke with a local business owner and a vendor who both share they're very excited for this change. How Bazaar's owner Jose Perullero set up shop by the streetery about 4 years ago. Since he's been here, he's grown passionate about the place he calls home.
The act of leaving the streetery open, I think, is an active moment of saying, yes, we're going to want downtown programmed, and we're going to want people on the streets enjoying downtown.
It's important to him because
when you can be outdoors, you can engage in community, you can engage in interactions with other people without being under the guise of being inside of a building and having to pay for some sort of service at that point in time.
For shop owners like him, a plan to expand downtown's streetery could be helpful. As of now, there's no expected date for when the project will be completed. Shops will have to wait patiently to see these changes come to life. Live in Gainesville, I'm Nicole Beltran, WUFT News.
Gainesville's Punk Rock Fest kicks off today and the rest of the weekend. Full of festivities for all fans to enjoy. But make sure you register on time as tickets are already selling out. The festival will host over 70+ bands and artists playing this weekend, and I'm hyped, guys, and the 3-day passes have already sold out, but you can still grab individual show tickets. Now is definitely the time to register. The ticket line is already filling up and leaving customers waiting in the hot Florida sun for almost an hour. However, some fest goers are willing to beat the heat for a chance to attend.
I've been waiting in line about 45 minutes now. That's all worth it. Totally worth it.
The event is from 7 to 11 p.m. tonight in downtown Gainesville. The fest registration is today until 7 p.m. And if you miss registration, you will not be able to get into the shows tonight.
Well, I am very excited for the festival to be my first time. But anyways, coming up, science fiction is now scientific fact. Artificial intelligence could help detect cancer. What one doctor has to say about this project when First at 5 returns.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and doctors are making major strides towards helping fight the disease. WUFT's Tanya Fedak joins us live in the studio with how this project could save lives.
This week, I spoke to a doctor here in Gainesville who is using artificial intelligence to train people on how to detect breast cancer early on. One breast cancer survivor tells me she thinks it has the power to save lives.
Denise Hinault was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. The only thing she could think about? Living. You see, this wedding planner had one specific career goal she had yet to accomplish. That's why, when her 4 godchildren asked her if she was going to die, she confidently said no.
I said, well, someday you two and Emily are going to get married and I'm going to throw your wedding. And they were like, okay. I said, I can't do that if I die.
One night, she felt a lump in her breast the size of a tennis ball. She went to the doctor, and her suspicion became her reality.
You should know what things feel like. My tumor should never have gotten as big as it did.
Dr. Mark Goldstein says some lumps are so small they go unnoticed. So he and his team spent the past 50 years creating a device that trains hands to examine for breast cancer. It uses breast models with replicas of cancer cells. The model is placed on a sensory device, and artificial intelligence tracks your finger movements to detect tumors.
Good. You found a lump.
The first time in their life, they got feedback about their first experimental, non-live experiment with their hands.
Denise is pleased with her course of treatment that predates this technology. Now, she's ecstatic to hear about the advances to fight cancer. She's been cancer-free for 12 years and kept her promise.
Emily got married 3 years ago this December, and I threw her wedding.
Tanya Fedak, WUFT News.
Doctors say using your finger should be the first test for breast cancer, and go to the doctor to rule it out. Live in the studio, Tanya Fedak, WUFT News.
Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody filed a lawsuit against the U.S. Department of Justice, accusing the DOJ of improperly preventing the state from investigating an alleged assassination attempt against former President Donald Trump. Lawyers in Moody's office filed the lawsuit in federal court against U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland. The lawsuit alleges that the FBI blocked state authorities from investigating whether accused gunman Ryan Ruth violated state law. Federal officials filed the charges against Ruth, but Moody contends that the state probe could lead to additional charges, potentially including attempted murder.
This seems to me to be shocking that the federal government is trying so hard to frustrate the state investigation. I can't understand it for the life of me why they would want to do that. Nonetheless, they are, and certainly, Florida has never been shy of fighting for our interests.
Ruth was spotted by a U.S. Secret Service agent hiding with a rifle in shrubbery along Trump International Golf Course in West Palm Beach, right before the current Republican presidential nominee was going to play. A Secret Service agent fired at Ruth. Ruth was captured after driving away.
Early voting kicked off earlier this week and is already in full swing as voters hit the polls and complete their vote-by-mail ballots. In Alachua County, over 40,000 people have cast their votes for the presidential election. As of today, the Alachua County Supervisors of Election Office recorded more than 50% of early votes to be Democratic, 31% Republican, and 15% with no party affiliation. Marion County reports over 73,000 voters out to the polls, with 30% of votes going towards the Democratic Party, 53% to Republican, and 14% with no party affiliation. To keep up with the latest on the 2024 election, visit our website at WUFT.org.
The ongoing battle between GRU and the city of Gainesville continues. The referendum on whether the city or the governor should control the utility company is currently on your ballot. And while you can still vote on the referendum, the real decision is delayed until after the elections. The ruling on the two players' lawsuit has been postponed until after November 5th. The authority board sued the city in June, arguing that they cannot overturn state law. Gainesville argues voters have the right to amend the charter. The court's injunction is in the interest of the public to maintain a stable utility. The ruling on the referendum's legality will be made after the elections. If the referendum is ruled to be illegal, the referendum voters will be nullified.
And we have sunny skies that are going to be sticking around for a little bit longer, but tropical issues could return earlier in November, coming up.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
We still have beautiful blue skies here in Gainesville prior to sunset. Current temperatures just below 85. We're in those early 80s, and that is going to be pretty consistent across the board. Those temperatures are going to be dropping as we get into later in the evening. The feels like temperatures are pretty much where they are as the actual temperatures, although on the coast it might be just a couple of degrees cooler and a bit warmer as you get to the north. Looking into our evening, we see that drop after sunset as we quickly go from those mid 80s to those upper 70s and continue that trend all the way to the lower 60s, which we'll be feeling in the morning, as the low is 61 degrees here in Gainesville and even cooler in some areas to the north. Warmer along the coast as we have that temperate wind coming from the Atlantic, keeping it just a little bit cooler. If you are attending the fest this weekend in Gainesville, you are in luck. We're going to have very nice conditions, sunny skies with some cloud coverage, and our temperatures are going to follow the trend of warming up throughout the day to those mid 80s before taking the decline after sunset, heading into those 70s for those evening concerts. Similar conditions on Sunday following that arc of midday, but the temperatures are going to be just a little bit cooler into those lower 80s before making their dip for the evening. Looking at the muggy meter, our current conditions are humid, but they are bordering on that pleasant. So unless you are standing in a packed crowd at the fest and you're outside, you shouldn't be sweating too much. Taking a look at the tropics over in the Pacific, we have Hurricane Christy, but luckily it is moving towards the west and is currently not near the coast of the United States, so we shouldn't be feeling the effects here, especially not in Florida. Taking a look at the tropics in the Atlantic, there isn't much action going on, especially that would impact Florida, and you do need to be on the lookout for the rest of the season, as hurricane season does not end until the end of November. So although there's not any action currently, you want to keep vigilant while watching those and listening to your weather forecasters as a new storm system might develop over the next couple of weeks. Looking at our storm names, you can see we are just past Oscar. Now, these are the storm names for Atlantic hurricanes, which is why you see Kirk and not Christy, which is currently over in the Pacific. Looking at our 7-day forecast, we do have Halloween coming up on Thursday, and we're going to be seeing fairly consistent temperatures until then in those mid to lower 80s. Our low temperatures in those mid to lower 60s through the end of the week.
And coming up in sports, we bounce around from local to national news as the weekend is filled with must-watch matchups, including the long-awaited World Series opener and a Gator volleyball match.
The Florida Gators are going up against the Tennessee Vols tonight for their annual Dig Pink matchup. Live from the Stephen O'Connor Center, we have more details coming up after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Lauren Halpern. PK Young will take on Trinity Catholic High School tonight. PK is 5-2 overall, while Trinity Catholic has only been able to secure one win this season. The Blue Wave haven't been out since the first weekend this month when they shut out West Oaks Academy 47-zip on the road. This trend of high scoring is a familiar storyline for PK Young, as the team has finished with 31 points or more in its last 3 contests. Trinity Catholic is up for a challenge, as it's in a 5 straight loss rough patch. Don't miss 7 p.m. kickoff at PK Young High School. The Friday Night Lights don't stop there. The Gainesville Hurricanes will take on the Vanguard Knights at 7:30. Buchholz will travel to Bartram Trail, and Eastside will hit the road to North Marion. Florida volleyball is coming off a pair of road sweeps against Texas A&M and LSU. Tonight, the Gators look to improve their 13-5 record against a Lady Vols team that recently upset Auburn. WUFT's Jordyn Banks is at the O'Connell Center with more.
On Fridays, we dig pink, especially for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The Florida Gators volleyball team is going up against the Tennessee Volunteers for game time tonight. One key player to watch is Florida Kennedy's Martin, All-American sophomore. She has recorded double-digit kills in every match this season and leads in the Gators in points per set. She's not only a top performer for Florida, but also ranks amongst the best in the SEC. If you come out to the Gators game tonight, please come decked out in pink. You see, I have my pink on ready for game time tonight for the Gators matchup against the Vols. Game time is at 7 p.m. live at the Stephen O'Connell Center. I'm Jordyn Banks with WFT Sports.
Game 1 of the World Series is tonight. It's a monumental matchup as the New York Yankees make their first appearance in 9 years after defeating the Guardians. They face off against the LA Dodgers, fresh off a 10-5 victory over the Mets. This series marks the first meeting between these historic franchises in 44 years. Yes, Ronald Reagan was president last time. The Dodgers, making their 22nd World Series appearance, lead the National League. This is their 4th World Series in just 8 years. Expect fireworks with stars like Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani taking the field. Both teams representing the country's largest markets and boasting some of baseball's biggest payrolls. This matchup has it all. Rankings are soaring and baseball fans are buzzing. This could be MLB's biggest World Series in years. To wrap up sports, the Dolphins and Jags bring the competition back to Florida this Sunday. Miami takes on the Cardinals and Jacksonville has the Packers at Everbank. JC, how excited are you as a Miami fan?
I gotta say, I was born and raised in Miami. All my life I've been a Dolphins fan. My dad was a Dolphins fan, my grandpa was a Dolphins fan, and now I'm a lot of Dolphins fans. They're right now 2-4. We're looking for another win here to really bring our record up, but I'm hyped for the matchup.
I'm from South Florida, but Trevor Lawrence, T-Law, that's my quarterback.
I'll be there.
What I'm hearing is we all should pile up in the car and head on over to the game. You guys coming with me or what?
I'm in.
Absolutely.
I'm in.
Awesome. And then when we're leaving, Ben, what kind of weather are we going to see?
Well, I'm down for that road trip, especially with the nice sunny weather that we're going to be experiencing. Just a couple of clouds in the sky with nice temperatures in those mid-80s. Those are our hottest temperatures of the week, but we're going to stay fairly consistent as the rest of the week has those lower 80s temperatures through Halloween on Thursday.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on another lovely show today. And guess what? Don't miss us too much because we are going to be back here tomorrow for another awesome edition of First at 5.
But your North Central Florida news is always on at WUFT.org and on all of our social media platforms. Have a good night.